Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to a new interview for Commodity TV. And for the first time, I have here in an interview Luke Alexander, the President and CEO of Newcore Gold. Welcome, Luke. Happy New Year and good morning to Vancouver.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Luke, before we start, we must disclose that this interview is being produced, published, and paid for on behalf of Newcore Gold. Before we begin with your flagship project, Enchi, what does the name Newcore mean and where does it come from?
So Newcore Gold, it was, I guess, founded about 5.5, 6 years ago. So prior to that was Pinecrest Resources. When I joined, we renamed the company Newcore Gold. And really that was an opportunity for us to show that we are recommitting to the Enchi project in Ghana. The company had sat dormant for a number of years. I came in, Greg Smith came and joined as VP Exploration. Mal Carvasca came to head up our business development team. And importantly, Doug Forrester stepped up as chairman of the company. Blaine Johnson stepped up as lead director for the company. So we all came together and relaunched the company in 2020. And on the back of that, we renamed it really to highlight that we were recommitting to the Enchi project in Ghana. Since then, we've done a huge amount of work on the project, as well as at a corporate level, moving the company forward. So we've drilled over 120,000 meters on the project. We've done a significant amount of technical de-risking work on the project to now be in a position to take it to a pre-feasibility of PFS in the middle of this year. We've built up the institutional ownership for the company from 0 to 55%. We've brought on 3 investment banks who are following the company closely and now covering it from a research perspective. And through all of that, management and board have continued to invest alongside shareholders. We currently own 15% of the company. So Newcore, it's really the relaunch of the company about 5.5 years ago. And it was really highlighting that we are recommitting to the Enchi project, which is a district scale exploration project in Ghana, which is a tier 1 jurisdiction, fundamentally underpinned by very robust economics. So high level, that's Newcore.
Okay, you already mentioned that you're working on a PFS. That means you published a PEA before. Can you give us some numbers out of this PEA?
In 2024, we put out a PEA on the project. It outlined a very simple open pit heap leach operation. From a numbers perspective, if we look at it at a $3,000 gold price, which feels a long ways away from where we are today, but at a modest $3,000 gold price, you're looking at an after-tax NPV of 970 million, roughly a 70% IRR, and about just over a half-year payback. The project produces about 120,000 ounces over a 9-year mine life, so a very nice production profile. We're now, as you mentioned, and as I highlighted, taking it from a PEA to a PFS. Typically, PFS stage projects will get a higher multiple from the market, so we're expecting the PFS to be a major catalyst for the company. And that's one of the reasons we're obviously excited to get that out to the market. Over the last year and a half, we've been doing a lot of that de-risking work to move it along that development path to a PFS. So infill drilling, additional PFS level metallurgical work, hydrological work, geotech work, environmental work, baseline work. So all of that will feed into the PFS, which we're looking to commission in the first quarter of this year, have completed by the end of the first half of this year. And again, very excited to be working on that and to ultimately get that out first half of this year.
Okay, you mentioned drilling. I saw that you had a recent drill success with high-grade gold up to 170 grams per ton, but also much more important, good grades with longer widths. Can you give us some numbers out of this drilling, and then also something about the deposit, or are there more deposits? And what's the overall resource base at the moment?
If we look at the current drill program, we've got a 45,000-meter drill program that's fully funded from the cash that we have in the bank today. The first 30,000, or two-thirds of that drill program, the bulk of it was focused on resource conversion, so moving ounces from the inferred category into the indicated category. That's one of the key de-risking elements for us to be able to publish that PFS later this year. With that first 30,000 meters, we think we've accomplished our goal of resource conversion. With this additional 15,000 meters, so the remainder of the drill program, we're back to focusing on pure exploration drilling. So those results that you mentioned are the first set of, call it, pure exploration results. Also, importantly, it's the first set of diamond drill results that we've put out in the last number of years. These results are focused on some of the deeper opportunity on the project for us. And it's important to highlight that for us, deeper, these holes are still only targeting about 200 to 300 meters below surface. The average vertical depth of all of the drilling that we've done on our project to date is only down to about 100 meters. So we've really still just scratched the surface on this district scale exploration opportunity, but we have had some very encouraging results. And as you highlighted, in second week of January, we put out that first set of diamond results. We intercepted 174 grams over a meter. Within those drill results, we also have 3.5 grams over 23 meters. Within that, almost 7 grams over 8 meters. So what this highlights is the mid to longer term underground potential of our project. If we look at some of our neighbors in country along the Sefwi-Bibiani belt, including Toronto at 5.5 million ounces, Bibiani at 6.5 million ounces, Newmont's a Ahafo mine at 20 million ounces and growing, where we saw a lot of the resource growth come from is these high grade shoots that we see plunging at depth at deposits along the belt from us. So we've just started to test that again, and we couldn't be more happy with the first set of results that we've had come back from that drilling.
Cool. So the resource base is, I believe, currently 1.7 million ounces of gold, roundabout. You
Correct.
mentioned
So that's roughly 970,000 ounces in the inferred category, an additional 740,000 ounces in the indicated category. So one of the things, again, with that first 30,000 meters is converting a portion of that 970 into the indicated category to add to our 740, with the goal of getting to 1.3 million ounces or more within the indicated category, which will then feed our PFS. So that's been the focus, and we think we've now accomplished that.
okay. So you mentioned you're in between a 45,000-meter drill program. What are average drill costs per meter in Ghana, and what's money in the bank at the moment?
So in Ghana, it's costing us about $100 for RC holes. So those shallower, near surface focused holes. A lot of that is what we use for the resource conversion, as well as it's important to highlight that all of our existing resource deposits remain open along strike. So with that RC drilling, we will continue to systematically step out and look to grow the near and at surface mineralized footprint, as well as go back to a bunch of previously drill tested areas that don't have resources on them yet. From a diamond drill perspective, which again is this first set that we put out second week of January, targeting those high grade shoots on our project, it's costing us about $250 per meter for the diamond drilling. Second part of your question, I think, was with regards to what our cash position is. If you look at our last reported cash at the end of September, we sat around $11 million. So everything that we've talked about so far is fully funded from that cash. So our 45,000 meter drill program is funded. The completion of our PFS towards the end of the first half of this year is funded with that cash. It's important to highlight that we have 20 million warrants that are currently in the money with a Canadian dollar strike price of roughly 50 cents per share. Today, they're about 60% in the money. Those expire next month at the end of February, so in about 5 weeks from now. We've started to already see cash coming in from those warrants, and we're expecting that the full 10 million will come in. About 80% of it is held with 5 institutional investors who I've talked to and have highlighted that they're going to exercise, and they're very keen to see us continue to aggressively drill on our program. So that additional 10 million of cash that has started to come in, and we expect to be in by the end of February, that would then allow us to potentially expand our drill program well beyond the 45,000 meters, as well as start to look ahead to some of the feasibility work that's going to be required to take our project to that next stage. So very well positioned from a cash perspective to create a lot of value for shareholders by advancing the project, but also continuing to aggressively drill and show that district scale exploration upside that we've got across our project.
Okay, you already mentioned management holding is around 15%, and you also mentioned a couple of institutions that are in Newcore. Any other large shareholders like mining companies or companies who have nearby mines or something like that?
We don't have any strategic investors per se, which I think is what you're kind of referring to in terms of mining companies. But I would highlight that the institutional investment and investors that we have, I would view as real strategic investors. Currently 55% institutionally owned. Franklin Templeton, very large precious metals fund based out of the US, is our largest investor, followed by Aegis, who are a large, deep value investor. Rufford out of the UK, again, they've got a precious metals focused portion of their fund, which is invested in us, as well as Merck, SSI, Commodity Discovery, Adrian Day. You can go to our presentation and see all the different groups that are in there, as well as a number of other institutional investors who are very meaningful that we can't disclose because they don't disclose to the market. So very strong institutional support. They want to see us fast track this project as quickly as possible to production because they see it as a unique opportunity to create near-term cash flow, but also they love the optionality that we've got district scale exploration layered on top that can create additional value for shareholders above and beyond that re-rating of taking it to production. The other thing I would then highlight is Haywood, Canaccord, SCP, 3 prominent Canadian investment banks, all cover us from a research perspective. So I'd encourage anyone listening to this, if you have relationships with any of those groups, to go and get the research from them. And they've put out some very good work on the project.
So a lot of strong hands holding Newcore Gold. What's also important is how supportive is the regional or the local community, and how does the permitting process in Ghana look like?
So we've worked in this area for the past dozen years. We've got very strong relationships with our nearest community, Enchi, which has about 15,000 people. It sits about 10 kilometers away from the project as a crow flies, so it's close enough to the project that we can obviously leverage all of the services that there are in the town of Enchi. So there's a hospital, there's high school, there's elementary schools. We can also house all of our employees in the town of Enchi. So that's a great advantage for our project. The individuals who head up our ESG team, they're from the town of Enchi, so have deep relationships, have lived there all their lives. Probably the biggest question we get asked from locals is, when are you going to put this project into production? Ultimately, when you look at communities that have mines nearby, and whether that's in Ghana or anywhere in the world, typically you'll see those communities flourish more than other communities. All the additional benefits of jobs and services that come with having a major mining operation close to town, and the jobs that it creates, is one of the reasons that we're constantly being asked, when are you going to get this into production? So we have a lot of support from our local community. And then I'd say Ghana as a whole is a tier 1 jurisdiction to be operating in. It is Africa's largest gold producer. It's the 6th largest gold producer globally. So with that, we've got a lot of support from the government. We're one of the 2 most advanced gold projects in the entire country from a development perspective. The government wants to see projects being built, so they're working very closely with us as we move this project forward, and we expect to see a lot of support. Specifically from a permitting perspective, which you asked about, we expect our mining lease to come in within a year after the publishing of our PFS. We will also apply for our environmental permits at that stage as well. So fast forward to the second half of 2027, and we'd like to be in a position where we have our permits in place to then take it to a full construction decision in 2028. The construction timeline outlined within the PEA was roughly 15 months, which would then have us in production in 2029. So PFS middle of this year, DFS and permits second half of 2027, construction decision, and then production by 2029 is the timeline that we've laid out.
Okay, so you already answered my last question about important catalysts and milestones. Is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, so from a catalyst and milestone perspective, maybe I'll just recap it because we've obviously talked a lot about a lot of things today. So from a catalyst perspective, you'll see second week of January this year, we put out some very nice high grade diamond drill results. That is the near term focus for us, is continuing to drill with the diamond rig focused on these high grade feeder zones. So expect drill results to come out every 4 to 6 weeks from that drilling that we're doing at the moment. We then have the warrant proceeds that we're expecting to come in between now and the end of February. That I could see as another catalyst, highlighting that we've got another $10 million in the bank, the ability to grow our drill program well beyond the 45,000 meters. And then obviously the PFS we see as a major catalyst for the company in the middle of this year. So expect drill results right through 2026, more cash to come in from the warrants, which could lead to an expanded drill program, which would then have us drilling right through the year. And then that PFS in the middle of this year, which we see as a major catalyst. If investors go back and look at 2024, when we published that PEA, that led to a very strong market reaction. The stock was up meaningfully on big volume as investors started to price in the de-risking of the project. Now, as we move from PEA to PFS, I would like to think we're going to see a similar reaction as the market starts to price in the value that should be attributed to a PFS.
Okay, Luke, then thank you very much for this insight into Newcore Gold and the Enchi project in Ghana. And I really look forward to do an update with you soon, maybe at PDAC in Toronto in March.
That'd be great, Tim. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening. And if you are looking to follow us a little bit more, I'd encourage you to follow us on the various social media platforms, whether it's X or LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We provide a lot of very good content that we've had good feedback from investors and others.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Luke Alexander, President and CEO of Newcore Gold with the Enchi project in Ghana. You heard it, the company is in a really good shape. 1.7 million ounces of gold in one of the best mining jurisdictions in Africa and also in worldwide. In Ghana, West Africa, they are aggressively drilling diamond drills this time. They have a clear plan for the next development steps. And yeah, I would say check out this company and bye bye from Switzerland.